You ever see other high ticket closers and think, man, these people don't seem that much smarter than I am. Why are they making way more money than me? Is it their offer? Is it their objection handling? Is it their mindset? What are they doing that I'm not? I used to ask myself the same questions when I was making 2K a month, being at the bottom of the leaderboard, being pissed off, not being where I know I should be at. Fast forward, I got to 20K, 30K a month in commissions, being the number 2 closer at the largest B2C sales training company in the world while having the least sales experience. I'll just show you what I was doing behind the scenes, so you can just copy me.
I'll walk you through where my headspace was at, what I was doing on the calls, what I do was outside of the calls, what I was doing outside of work, what I was doing in my life. I'll walk you through the SOPs, the documents, the trackers, the drills. I'll walk you through it. As a side note, this is only applicable for high-ticket closers, meaning that you're a closer selling a coaching program, lead gen, or something similar. If you're a setter, or if you're brand new, or if you sell something, anything else on that, it doesn't really apply to you. By the way, what we go over in this breakdown video is just scratching the surface. There's a lot more that goes into it. And if you just want to skip a lot of the guesswork and scale to that 10, 20K a month in commissions, that's what we help high-ticket closers with inside of our implementation program, Real Sales System. If you want to see if you'll be eligible for it, I'll leave the link in the first link in the description box below. You can go to that. Other than that, let's get to it. All right. So first things first, let's go through it. This is my commission check when I hit 36K a month in commissions and the leaderboards at the largest B2C sales training company in the world. That was number 2 in my first full year in sales. All right. Let's go to first things first is number 1 is character. So it is so boring that you're already following us. So you're already like, where's my fucking TikTok video? I get it. Okay. But the reason why we start here is because there's been so many lies and so many harmful advice when people get into high ticket closing, which is essentially sales, that is ruining people's careers. It is ruining people. That it really hurts me to see that we have to start with this. So when you first get into high ticket closing or remote closing, sideways closing, whatever people call it these days, you've been sold a marketing message, sold a marketing lie where they say, hey, master sales in 90 days. Just take warm inbound leads. They're ready to buy. They have their credit card in hand. Just take 5 warm calls a day. You can work from the beach in your pajamas. If the prospect says they don't have the money, just DQ them, end the call early. Only shitty reps do follow-ups, which basically is only resorting to princess closer behavior. What is princess closer? Princess closers are closers that are essentially princesses. So I live here in Dubai, and there's a lot of sugar babies and a lot of princesses. Okay, so meaning that these girls don't work. They basically have their sugar daddies pay for basically their flights, their apartments, their food, their Cartier bracelets, their high heels, their dresses, all that kind of stuff, right? So their whole mentality is that, oh, I don't do anything, and the guy just does everything for me. You do everything for me. So not all girls are like that in Dubai or any city you live in. There's also incredible women out there, but we're talking about the extreme, so you get the idea. So those are what princess closers are. Oh, okay, so you just send me the warm inbound leads. If they're not ready to go, if they don't have 10K, 20K in their bank account saved up, I don't talk to them. I'm going to end their call early. I don't do any follow-ups. What the fuck is that? That's not real sales. What happened to real sales? And so because of this, is keeping people stuck. And that's really slowing down, if not killing people's careers, because first and foremost, you're not going to master sales within 90 days. It's just not going to happen. I remember when I was at 7th level, when I was working for Jeremy Miner. And then I asked Jeremy, hey, Jeremy, when do you master sales? Because I was curious, because the guy's been in the game for 20, 25 years now. And then Jeremy told me this. He said, well, Brian, I still haven't mastered it. And I was like, really? So this man who's really obsessing over making their life's entire purpose, studying the game of sales for 20, 25 years, even they're saying they haven't mastered it. Now, does that mean it's going to take us 25, 20, 30 years to actually start making some good money? No, it's probably not. Okay. But just understand that it is a long game. You're probably not going to master it within 90 days. You're just not. So even though, some of our students are getting to that 10K, 15K, 20K a month in commissions after 30 days, 40 days, 60 days, not everybody's like that. So we just got to have the realistic expectation that it is a long game, right? Now, don't make that as an excuse like, oh, time takes time. So like, even though I've been in for like 30, 60 days, I'm not good. Just make that as an excuse. No, it's micro urgency, macro patience, meaning that in the macro, you're patient about your progress, but in the micro, you're having urgency, taking action, getting the right help, learning the skills so you can actually get to where you want it to go. Okay. Second thing is just like take the warm inbound calls and just if they don't have money saved, just DQ them on the call, just end the call early. That's just like they booked on the calendar. What else are you gonna do? So a lot of these closers, when I ask them, hey, what are you doing during your no-show time? They're like, oh, I usually go on a walk, I go get a massage, I'll watch YouTube videos, I'll do some role plays. And those things are good, but how many of those things actually makes you money? If you're a commission only sales rep, the only time you make money is when we close deals. That's the only time, right? Now, it may not be your fault because you've been fed these advice that's just not helping. That's actually harming a lot of people. And that's what a lot of people are saying on YouTube these days. So it may not be your fault, but it's still whose responsibility is it to actually do something about it so it can become a savage and get the life that you want. So that's our unofficial company slogan is no more princess closers. So let's get into the boring stuff, okay? Number one, when it comes to character, is work ethic and standard. So I'll give you an example. So this is a deal I closed. It's a 7.6K paid in full. Now, when you look at the sales form, maybe just look like a regular sale, like who cares? But what happened was this was actually not at 6:03 p.m. This was actually at 5:10 a.m. my time on a Friday night going to Saturday morning. Now, why did I close a deal that early or late? So basically what happened was this day, I couldn't close any of the deals from my inbound calls. And so after that, it was like midnight at this point because I was taking sales calls in Dubai, talking to US leads. And I couldn't close a deal. And so I was like, am I just going to go to bed right now? I know it's midnight, 1 a.m., but do I really want to go to bed without closing a deal? Or do I actually want to do something? So I told myself I wouldn't go to sleep until I closed the deal this day. And so I was just hunting in the CRM. I was calling the outbound, like people that opted into something, people that hopped on a sales call but didn't. I was going to sales that other reps didn't contact for 30 plus days. I was going to upsell these. I was talking to clients. I was trying to generate referrals. I was doing all that kind of stuff in the CRM. And I'll get on the phone with people. It was just, it's not the most encouraging thing when it's like 2, 3 in the morning. You want to go to bed. Your eyes are so dry. You're doing this while you're talking to the lead. And man, can I just go to bed? Why don't I just go to bed? It's okay. Like, no one will know. But I know. And that's the most important thing. And so eventually I got on the phone with the lead. It was for an upsell. And then that lead gave me some objections, of course. It's like, I don't know if it's the right time. I just sat there. It's like, you know what? No, like this, you're moving forward. No other way. So at 5:10 a.m. my time, I put through the sales form. And then I told myself I wouldn't go to bed until I close the deal. Today's 5 here in Dubai. Good night. Much luck to Anthony Vazora for the push. Anthony Vazora at the time was the chief sales officer, sales director, whatever you want to call the title at the time. And then this is pretty much what happened, right? And so it wasn't about me putting through this deal. The commissions, I don't give less fuck about, right? My life doesn't change that much from this one deal. But what this was telling myself that I would not go to bed until this was done. And so Matt Ryder, the former CEO of 7th Level, said this, right? He said, accountability was a top attribute required. And that's why Brian Choi is a good fit to me. And that's good, but I don't want to just blow smoke up my ass. So this is sometimes I get these messages, right? So this is from a sales rep. He said, hey, I interviewed for the XYZ offer. Basically, the offer owner or whoever's managing that offer said, he'll only give that role to me, condition I work with you to learn the nitty gritty side of sales. He's not looking for princess closers, basically. Looking for people who will follow up, take action if there are no calls booked in, etc. Because think about it like this. Let's say you're the business owner. Let's say you are the sales manager. You're spending $100 to $250 per book call to land calls onto the sales rep's calendar. Let's say you have 8 calls for that day. So let's say $200 per call. That's about 1.6K, $1,600 per day. Let's say 5 days a week. If my math is correct, that's about 8K a week, $32K per month. Let's say you're spending $32,000 per month on this one sales rep's calendar to get calls on the calendar. If they're not doing follow-ups, what would you think? If they're just ending calls early because the prospect gave a little bit of resistance, what would you think? What would you want to do? I know what I would think. I'd be like, fuck you and fuck me. What is this? I'm hauling ass over here working 12 to 13-hour days trying to get this business off the ground and trying to scale this fucking business. And this sales rep is just going to end the call. They're not confirming calls. They're not going to do the follow-ups. What is that? What the fuck is that? I'll be pissed, right? Me being a business owner now. And so as someone that's trained sales teams and managed sales teams and sales reps, I'm like, what is that? That's just not going to happen. And so I was talking to a very well-known 8-figure business owner that we all know. And on the phone, he said something interesting. He said, yeah, I had to fire so many sales reps that came from this one program because the reps that came from that program, They had basically zero physical ability to do any hard work. They were barely confirming their calls. They were not doing follow-ups. They're not trying hard in objection handling. They weren't trying hard at all. And so because of that, he had to fire so many sales reps that came from that particular program. I was also talking to another 8-figure business owner, and then he's like, "Yeah, bro, I think it's great what you're doing in terms of helping reps get that work ethic, because the sales reps that I fire first are the sales reps that do not do follow-ups." And so this coming from a very reputable 8-figure business owner with great client track record, amazing business. And so if that's true, which sales rep would you rather be? Would you rather be the princess, or would you rather be the shark that's making shit happen? I chose the latter as well. That's the company, that's the culture that we have with our students as well. So this student said, "Hey, collect the 20K today, finish my final target. I have followed your style with not going to sleep until I reach my target for the day." That is the standard. That is the culture. That is the environment. Make sense so far? That's the work ethic. I know that nobody wants to fucking hear. All right. Second is obsession to the game. So what I did was I did a daily debrief, especially when I was first starting out in sales, or when I was in that period of immersion when I was trying to get better at this. So this is a sales debrief that we also share to our students. I did a daily debrief when I was in the period of immersion, when I was trying to get better at this and become a savage. So this is called a sales debrief document that we should also share with our students. It's basically going over, okay, cool, what happened on the calls? Essentially simplified, 2 things you did well, 2 things you need to improve on, and 1 thing you'll work on tomorrow that'll make the biggest impact on you making more money. So this is a habit I developed when I was first, basically I was trying to figure my life out at 19 years old because I couldn't talk to people, and I was very timid. I was very shy. I was very socially anxious. I was a virgin, no friends, couldn't hold a conversation, didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And at that point, I got into the dating community. And so in the dating community, what they do is after you go out and talk to girls at the club, at the street, whatever, what you do is you leave something called a field report. What a field report is exactly what this is. What you do well, what you need to improve on, what's going to move the needle tomorrow. So maybe you write down something like, "Oh, what I did well is I actually approach the girl without even having hesitation," right? What I need to improve on is I got to hold better eye contact, as an example. So I was doing that pretty much every day that I was going out, right? And so because I was trying to get better at talking to people, it's still a progress I'm trying to make, right? And so on the way from basically getting rejected all day, from just talking to girls in the street, and then on my way back home being in the subway, because I was too broke to get a taxi at that time, I was writing down, okay, cool. On my phone, I was in the note text section. I was just writing that every day because I was self-correcting my own mistakes that way, right? And then from the things I couldn't figure out, like my blind spots, that's when I was getting the feedback from my mentors. Same thing, the same habit I translated when I was getting into sales. So 2 things I did well. Okay, cool. I did a good job of interjecting and controlling the call. What do I need to improve on? I need to get better at having a curious and concerned tonality so the prospect opens up more, so on and so forth. 1 thing I'm going to work tomorrow is this. So because I was doing that, I was basically in the Slack channel, basically spamming, or I mean, what it looked like, basically spamming everybody. Or I'd write down like a whole debrief pretty much like every day, right? And so this is what Anthony Vazzari, again, I believe now is a VP of Revenue 7th level, but at the time was managing that accounts on that offer. He said, "Hey, mates, I want everyone to know that the reason why you have got to this level so quick on a new offer is your ability to reflect and implement. You just have to look at your EOD reflection to know how much you want this." And so this is something I always say, the wins we get in public are simply a reflection of the work we've been putting in private. So on public, people see the sales forms coming through. People see the commission checks. People see on the leaderboard on the top. But what they don't see is this, the end of the day debrief. As well, I had something called a sales master doc. I'll show you that too. What a sales master document is, basically on the side, you can see the tabs, things I need to get better at. Everything I was struggling with, okay, cool, I'm going to make like a document, like a log of all the things, the trainings that I need to do, the resources, the trainings, the training call recordings, the SOPs, the scripts. I'm just going to make a whole document of that. And so, okay, I need to get better at finding the problem. I need to get better at vague prospects. Okay, cool. Let me ask this person. Let me ask that person. Hey, what worked well for you? And then I'd record that and I'd hyperlink these here. And so, okay, cool. So if they're giving a vague response, here's some things I can do. Let me go through that again. All right, cool. If they keep dancing around the question, not able to find a problem, here's what I'm going to do. So I had that for all these different things, the hooks and the reframes. If they're in research mode, what do? How to land a good consequence, how to do a good presentation, objection prevention handling, right? Objection looping, if they got cold feet, the coaching code recordings from our mentors. I had that because I was obsessed to becoming better. I was obsessed to becoming the top dog. I was obsessed to becoming the best. And so this is what I did. And this is a message I got from the author owner at the time. The author owner said, hey, just letting you know, we really appreciate you, bro. You're killing it. And bro, the students you onboard are some of the most hyped up we've seen in a long time. You're making a real impact and the students love you. Haha. So again, the recognition and the money and the status and all those kind of things, simply a reflection of the work we do in private. Make sense? All right, next part. Responsibility. So I treated the business that I sold for as if it was my own fucking business. So I'll give you an example. One of the business I sold for, they had an issue with one department. Okay. And then so technically that was not my department. However, it was still affecting me as well as everybody in the company. I identified that as an issue. And so after identifying that as an issue, I'm like, okay, this is how much we're losing out on as a company. This is how much that's costing me in commissions. This is how it's costing everybody else. So what did I do? What I didn't do was, oh man, this sucks. And then just thought about switching offers right away. That's what I didn't do. So what I did do is identify the problem. And then also I didn't go to my sales manager, whoever my direct supervisor is, and said, hey, like all these problems are popping up. I didn't do that either. What did I do? I identified the problem and then I looked for solutions myself first. So I saw okay, who had figured out this problem? And so I couldn't figure out who. And so what I did was I went outside of my company. I went outside of the sales world and I went to like these experts in different fields, let's just say. And so I went to them. It's like, hey, how much would it cost me for you to teach me what you do? And they said $1,000. Okay, $1,000 for what? For 1 hour. Bet. Send me the invoice. I buy over DMs. I hop on a call with them, and I basically implement everything they told me to do. And then after that, what happened was basically, this for my upsells in particular, I went from about making 1 to 2 upsells a month, and the next month, I believe I made 12 upsells that month, right? After just a couple of weeks. And so after that, I went to the CEO. Well, first I went to my direct supervisor, which is the sales manager. He's like, hey, this is what I did. I think this is helpful for everybody. And then the sales manager said, oh, yeah, great. Like, this is really good. You should actually go to the CEO and just give the insight straight up. And the CEO at the time was Matt Ryder at 7th level. And then he said, hey, man, this is probably the best feedback I've gotten all year. Very good. And then props to Matt as well. He basically implemented and rolled that out. And then that's what happened, right? So I increased my upsell rate, and then I won some awards for generating the most back-end revenue in the company. So there's that. There's other things too, right? So one thing that baffled my mind when I was selling at 7th level is that there's sales reps would hop on, and some of these sales reps would say, oh, this sounds good. I want to do it. I'm going to get my company to pay for the training. And in my mind, it just felt like someone was speaking Mandarin. Someone was speaking Romanian to me. I'm like, I do not comprehend. It's an alien language. I'm like, what do you mean? Because it just baffled my mind on the fact that I couldn't understand that people would not take responsibility and accountability for their own career, their own life, and they would put that into somebody else's hands. Same thing with partner objections too. And so I just don't understand, because for me personally, I just invest in my own skill set every single time. When I was on 7th level or outside of 7th level, I always invest in my own skill set with my own money. And so whether it be all the money I had, or I had to borrow money from somebody, or I had to sell things around my house, or whatever I had to do, I just did that time and time again. At this point, I've invested over $250,000 USD in different coaching courses, books, mastermind, you name it. And not just sales, but different areas of my life. And so this is one example. Once I identified that on the sales calls, at one point I got to a point where on the sales call, I knew all the different questions I needed to ask, right? So I knew basically 5 different ways of asking the same question in different ways. So I knew the script back to front. I knew exactly what to do. However, I still found, for some reason, prospects just shutting down and being vague with me. And I couldn't figure out why. And then at one point, I started having prospects straight up tell me, hey, you just look disinterested. You don't look interested. And so I thought, I'm like, why are people telling me that? And so I couldn't figure out why until later I got feedback from my mentors like Matt as an example. It's like, oh, dude, you just look dead inside. And I was like, I did not know that. And so what I didn't do at first, I mean, my ego got in the way. I was like, oh man, like I don't look disinterested. These people, they're not meant for success anyway. So I had that, and then I was like, okay, cool. No, maybe, but also at the same time, maybe there's something I can do about it. So what I did was I actually hired a coach for my vocal projection, right? This is a dating coach that I hired, not for my dating life, but for sales. Now, the reason why I went to a dating coach is because I know that dating coaches and pickup artists, they have a lot of volume of conversations with human beings and with women. And women are very emotionally in tune. And so because of that, these people have to get really good at using their facial expression, their tonality, and their body language to actually be able to communicate and persuade women, so to say, right? So I went to them, what if I went to that? I don't know if this is going to work, by the way, right? There's no guarantees. Like, it's not even like I'm doing sales training to get better at sales. Like, I'm going to dating training to get better at sales, right? I don't know if this will work, but let me just fucking try it. Same thing with this. I don't know if this will work. I paid $6,000, paid in full. And then after that, people started opening up to me more, right? And so I was like, oh, like that did work. And I did daily drills to that, right? And another example too, I paid somebody $1.7K an hour for 3 sessions to basically help me batch out my follow-up emails. And I want to understand, this is a copywriter that I paid, by the way, one of the best copywriters in the space. And I paid them to understand buyer psychology better. And then basically, like I said, fleshing out my follow-up emails. And so I closed deals from that too. So this is, I mean, it doesn't mean you have to do it right away. I don't want you to just see this as face value. It doesn't mean like go out and pay a dating coach or like a copywriter. No, it just shows the obsession and in this case, the responsibility that I had. I saw this as my responsibility. That's the whole point, right? Next part. This is going to seem a bit ooh, but it comes down to a strong reason, aka your why. And so the reason why I put this is because all these things, being obsessed, having the work ethic, having the responsibility, it came from a big domino of having a strong reason why really I wanted to succeed and become one of the best. And so the reason why is, we'll first go into this story, okay? So what I call the second chance for life at 19 years old. Now, when I was 19, I mean, I haven't shared this publicly, so I'll share it here. So I was at a pretty much the lowest point of my life where I didn't want to be alive anymore. And that was the lowest point I had in my life. I was just too much of a pussy to do it, which looking back, I'm glad. And after that, I basically shook my hands like, oh man, what was I thinking? And then after that, I basically did everything in my power possible to basically put my life back together, right? And there's different reasons for that. At the time, like I couldn't figure out how to talk to people. And then I didn't know what I was going to do in my life, which looking back at it seems very silly reasons, but as a 19 years old, I just felt like I didn't know what I was going to do in my life, right? But after that, I was like, okay, cool, let me get my life in order. So I went out and just started doing random shit, right? I started reading different books, personal development books. I started looking into like, how can I make money online? The classic story. I started going out and talking to a bunch of people, whether it be girls or just random people I see in the street, trying to get better on my social skills and these different things. And so, man, I feel like now I have a second chance for life. Because prior to, my 19 years of life, it felt like I was just in a haze, living as a zombie almost, being half awake, half asleep, because I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was just like living in a haze, like autopilot mode. But after that, I was like, oh, fuck, like we have this precious thing called life. And so I'm going to make the most out of that. And so because of that, I'm like, man, like if something went wrong in that day when I was awake at 2 a.m. by myself in my room, then I might not be alive right now. Right. So I know it sounds dramatic. There's a lot of tougher things in my life or in life in general. But in this moment, I feel like, man, so I need to make the most out of this. We have this one crack at this thing called life. So am I just going to settle for mediocrity? And so ever since then, I just been, man, I need to make this work. I need to figure this out. Right. It doesn't matter what I do in my life. So that's the first incident. Here's a second incident. So it's a loss of a friend when I was 21 years old. So at the time I was studying in America, and then I think during my the off season, during the summertime break, I came back to Korea, and literally the morning I was jet lagged, so I'll wake up earlier, like 7 a.m. or something like that. I checked my phone, and then I get a text from a mutual friend, oldest friend from high school days, and then he said, "Hey, you should come here," and it's an address of a funeral home. And I'm like, dude, I just got back to Korea. What are you talking about? And he said, hey, our so and so friend, he passed. And I'm like, oh, dude, what are you talking about? And he said he didn't say anything else. He's like, hey, like it's at this time, can you make it? I was like, what? I was literally speechless, just like that. And so what I do is I don't even take a shower. I just put on whatever black clothes I had. And then I just rush to that place. And then I get inside the hallway and I just hear people sobbing and screaming and just despair just filling the hallway. And then all our friends from high school, they're there. And then I look at the casket and there he is. He was pretty much my best friend in high school, or one of my best friends, the few that I had. And, we do the thing. And then now he's not in his body anymore, but he's in a glass jar, in a glass cabinet next to other glass jars. And I was just standing there. And the whole day, I didn't say anything. I did not say a word. And no tears came down my eyes. I wasn't even sad. I was just emotionless. And, what happened was, my friend was going to his guitar lesson because he wanted to become the best singer-songwriter in the country. And same crosswalk that he's crossed hundreds of times at this point. And a car comes out of nowhere. And just like that, it's all over. So we all hear that from Instagram, right? That, hey, tomorrow's not guaranteed, so live your life to the fullest, blah, 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 blah. But when you see your own eyes, your friend not there anymore, but in a glass jar, it hits you different. You see it, you feel it into your bones. And so ever since that day, my perspective on time has never been the same. Because at the time I was 21, my friend was 20. So the whole thing about the 4,000 dots? I used to have a poster in my room that has 4,000 dots on it. And what those dots are for is one dot for a week of life that an average human is given in their lifetime. But ever since this incident, I look at that as, well, if they're lucky. Because my friend got to use 1,000 dots out of the 4,000. He did not get to use the other 3,000. So, however old you are, that's something that you can take into perspective. So, ever since that day, I'm like, yeah, tomorrow's not guaranteed. So, I just have to get after it. I just have to make it work. All right. So, because of this basically in my brain, this is what computes. So, all the fear of failure, lack of urgency, the excuses that we all have, I have them too. I'm human just like you. It's not that some people like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, or whoever you look up to, it's not that they're fearless. No. I mean, they are humans just like you. Even though Elon may look like a robot. Love you, Elon. You're probably not watching this. But it's just that it's really this. This outweighs this. So it's like, maybe I should do it tomorrow. Let me just see how it goes. Let me just see. I just got a new offer. Let me just see how it goes. I had the same thing. My first sales job, we're going to get into how I got my first sales job and how I moved up onto different, better offers. My first ever sales job, about 2 weeks in, I was in the bottom of the leaderboard. There was about 25 reps on the team. I was number 23. And I thought to myself, hey, I mean, this sucks. I hate being where I'm at, but let me just see how the month goes. Because I was 2 weeks in, I was like, then I was walking down. It was a day in April or March in Korea. Cherry blossoms, beautiful. And I stopped in the middle of the sidewalk and I was like, oh, that's fucking stupid. Why don't I get to my goal quicker? What if I can accomplish bigger things if I start move now? Because this was to me way more scary than this shit. And so if you know you need to take an action that you know you should, but you're not, then we really need to talk about what is outweighing which for your specific situation. Because, hey, what if this doesn't work? Hey, what if I spend all this money and this doesn't work? What if, I don't know, maybe I can be more comfortable. Maybe I should wait. All that, now's the right time. This outweighed that. Just the mental image of me being on my deathbed. If I'm lucky enough to make it to my deathbed, which my friend was not. But if I can make it, then I look back and say, hey, what did I accomplish in my life? And if it's not something that I really envision, because I only had one crack at this, right? This thing called life. That is fucking scary to me. So much so that I take a risk after risk. My bank account going to damn near zero. So many times, more than I can count, to take the action, moving cities, moving countries, so I can get to my fucking goal. So that is the character section. Let's move on to the next section, which now getting more tactical. Processes. This starts with the quote that Matt Ryder told me when I was first starting out in sales, which is being good at sales is hard and getting better at sales takes time. Matt Ryder, former CEO of 7th Level. This really, I didn't really think much of it back then. I guess I was very lucky in a sense that I had really, really fucking good mentors in my early stages of my sales career. And I mean, I took it for granted back then, but I see so many people getting the wrong advice, just their precious youth in their career being wasted away because they're getting the wrong advice, which is very unfortunate. But what Matt told me is that being good at sales is hard. And what this means is there's, in any given field, there's only a few people that are really good, the top dogs that are really good in that field of expertise. There's very few. And the rest of them are mediocre or really fucking bad. And I didn't know this because when I was a sales sniper in 7th Level, I just didn't know because I was in that bubble. I was in that ecosystem, right? That echo chamber where, I mean, of course everybody's good. It wasn't even like something I was thinking. It was just subconsciously, oh, of course everybody's good. Everybody's good work ethic. And once I get out of 7th Level, when I got into the wild, wild west, that's when I was like, oh, I guess not. Because when I was either placing different reps or listening to different reps, sales call recordings and role plays, I'm like, man, like a lot of them are just not good. And that doesn't mean like to sound arrogant, like, oh, I'm the godfather of sales. No, I'm not talking about that. It's just that the standard was very low. So that's the first part. Being good at sales is hard. And the second thing is getting better at sales takes time. It just does. Are you going to have beautiful tonality overnight? No, like tonality is one of the biggest things that what I call sub-communication, which is your facial expression, tonality, and body language. It takes the longest fucking time, right? And the right questions to ask, the objection thing, that does take time, right? You just got to have the right framework. That helps. It still does. So question is, what are you going to do to make more money and close more deals in the meantime? Let's first start with data. Boring stuff. You're falling asleep. I know. There's a sales data tracker that I have developed over time. And basically what that does is it tracks the key metrics. You may have a sales tracker right now. This is my favorite, just the way it tracks things. So it tracks the major things like, okay, sales call on the calendar, no shows, reschedules, cancels, sales calls taken, sales from one call closes, sales from follow-up sales, sales from upsells, contract value, cash collected, calculates your commissions for you, and it calculates the metrics like, okay, pickup rate on the outbound, and then triage called the sales call pass-through rate, upsell close rate, total close rate, average contract value per sale, average cash collected per sale. Also tracks your objections as well. I mean, you track the objections, but what happens is it actually shows you. Let's say you got this month 5 logistical money objections. Let's say 3 fear. Think about it. 2 to value. It shows you in a pie chart visually. Okay, cool. So I'm losing the most deals to logistical money, meaning that people that want to do it, but they don't have the money right now. And so what that does is now you take a different approach to problem solve. Because now, okay, if you're losing, let's say, 2 to partner, and to think about it, which one do you think you should focus on fixing first? The one you're losing the most deals to. The problem is, if for some reason someone doesn't like partner objection, it's so annoying. They focus on this because it emotionally bugs them the most. Here's the paradox about sales. Our profession, our job all day is to get prospects to an emotional point. That way, they make a buying decision. They take action on their goals. When we are problem solving our own shit, our own problems, we must put the emotions to the side as much as possible. That's why the data is important. Because if you're looking at a fucking spreadsheet, it becomes more difficult for you to become more emotional reactive. You make more data-driven decisions. And so if your issue is to think about it, ignore the partner objection. And so the think about it objections, okay, cool. Not just about overcoming what to say. Let's not get that in the first place. How about that? So we prevent it whether in your pitch, in your discovery, and also in your, more importantly, before the sales call even happens, which is the pre-call process. We'll get to in a bit. So I just analyzed my data. I had this. And so, okay, let me just fix this thing. Let me ignore the other things. And also discipline lies. Hormozy and Matt Ryder talked about this too, which is discipline lies in you seeing that there's 20 problems that you got to fix, but you're fixing one at a time. And what I call the biggest constraint in your sales. We must fix the thing that we're losing the most commissions to. That is the most important thing. And if we don't track our data, how the fuck are we supposed to know that? And I just developed this because I just paid for different tracking softwares and different trackers. It just didn't do the job. And so I just developed it. And then that's why we have it. All right. So that is the tracker and understanding the biggest bottleneck. You're not going to be able to get all these things out of the bottle if you do not unbottleneck the bottleneck. So that's the data. So we have that. And then the pre-call process. So at that time, what happened was on that account I was on, the offer I was on, my show rate was not good. It was about 40% as low as 30%, but it will not budge above 50%. And everybody on that team, every other rep on that team, their show rate was pretty much the same, 30, 40%. And it seemed like we tried virtually everything under the sun. We tried getting VAs, we tried getting call confirmation specialists, we tried doing selfie videos, Loom videos, sending them homework videos, this, that, calling them too much, texting them too much, not texting them at all, you name it. And so we couldn't figure out. And then I'm like, you know what? Just like in the Avengers movie, Thanos goes, fine, I'll do it myself. Fine, I'll do it myself. And so after that, after testing different things, I was able to get my show rate from like 40% to about 70%. And then once the team rolled out my process to the rest of the team, the reps where their show rate wouldn't budge on like 40%, they got theirs to about 50, 60%. Right? And so this person as well, they implemented the show up SOP and their show up rate was around 22.73%. And then later on, they got a damn near 100% show up rate after about a week of implementation. And so it's simple math, right? You talk to more people, you have a higher likelihood of closing more deals. You must have the at-bats in order for you to get a home run. That's just how it works. And so historically, on the different sales teams I've been on, my show up rate just has been higher, about 20 to 40% higher than the other reps on the team. And so this is how you close more deals and climb to the top of the leaderboard while you're working on the skill set. I'm not telling you to not work on objection handling, tonality. That would be stupid. Absolutely work on that. Just understand it may take some time. So what are we going to do to get leverage and move the needle in the meantime? So I had that show up SOP. Okay. And as well as the pre-call process. Okay. And in the attempts of me trying to increase my show rate, this is the decision tree I developed for the increasing the show up rate, right? Now, I didn't come up with everything on my own. I also learned from people like Anthony Vazar and Shane Hetherington. Shout out to those guys. And then develop these process. So I had that as well as the pre-call nurture process as well. So a lot of people just look at sales as like, oh, it's just what you do on the call. No. It's everything that encompasses it. So why get an objection if you could not get an objection in the first place? Imagine every single lead that hops on a call with you is a fucking laydown. How easier would that our life be? Now, that's not really possible as far as I know. Not every lead is going to be a laydown, but how can we make it close as much as possible? And so that is the nurture process, which is before they hop on the call, basically sending them content that's going to prevent the common concerns they're going to have and increasing problem awareness, solution awareness, brand awareness, and product awareness. Okay. So without getting too nitty-gritty into the weeds, essentially, there's a book called Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz, one of the basically breakthrough book, as funny as it sounds. And so in that book, the author talks about in order for a person to become a buyer, they need to go through different stages of the buying journey. And so in the beginning, they're unaware. They don't even know what the problem is. And then later on, they become problem aware, meaning that, oh, my problem is, I suck at sales. I'm not closing deals. But why am I not closing deals? Or it's probably because I'm not building enough urgency. Or it's probably because my show rate is shit. Or because maybe I'm not on the best offer. Whatever the thing is, right? The root cause of the problem. Okay, they're aware of that. Now they need to become solution aware. Okay, what is the best solution? Oh, I need to not only get better at sales, but also be able to close deals outside of my calls from follow-ups, outbound, referrals. I need to increase my show-up rate. I need to be able to get in a good offer if I'm not in a good offer yet. All these different things. Okay, those are the solutions. Now, brand aware. Who does this the best? Oh, Brian Choi, that fucking guy. Shameless plug, right? It doesn't have to be me, but whoever, right? Okay, so that brand, that company, that guy does it the best. And what product aware? Okay, real sales system. That is their program. Whatever the thing is, right? You get the whole point. I'm just giving this an example. So same thing for your offer, whatever offer that you sell. If the prospect goes through this journey, they're more likely to buy, right? And so what we do is we send them long-form content prior to hopping on the call. So Alex Hermosi did a survey at his previous company, Gym Launch. And so during the surveys, he found out that about 74 to 78% of their clients went through at least 2 pieces of long form content before buying a product for 16K plus, which was basically their front end program. And so when I say long form content, I mean either podcasts or YouTube videos, those sorts. Okay. So this pre-call email template was designed to have them go through those 2 videos. Now, do all of them have to go through the video before you talking to you? Not really, but just the more you do that, more increase your chances. Right? So you do that, and the common objections you're getting on the back end of your sales call, what you do is you feed it to the front end before the sales call. If, for example, I'll give you an example, right? So the common objection I was getting at the time was, hey, will this work for my industry? Because at the time, we were working with a whole bunch of industries, so people had uncertainty. That was a common objection. And so, yes, on the back end of the sales call, I learned different reframes to overcome it, but I thought to myself, how about I not get that in the first place, or at least I'll reduce it? So that's what I did, and I started reducing that objection in particular. So that is the pre-call. Now, we'll go through what we do on the call itself, but let's go through the post-call for the sake of this section. So post-call, I had an SOP. So if I did not close the deal on the call, I had processes in place to actually turn a no sale into a follow-up sale. And so it just baffles my mind when some people say follow-ups are only for shitty sales reps. That's just unfortunate. And so there's a reason why a lot of closers are stuck and not able to perform on certain offers, because they're just relying on the booked inbound one call closes. Absolutely try to close as many people on the one call as much as possible. Absolutely. It would be ridiculous if I were to say don't do that. However, what if you don't? What if you don't? You're just going to give up on that altogether. That's ridiculous. So I had a no sale follow-up call process. Okay, here's the script that I used when I was on the call with them. As well as, okay, logistical money, meaning that they wanted to do it, but they don't have the money. So how did I get them to get the money together, right? So I saw people, they're basically, paycheck to paycheck, like pretty much no money, but I helped them get the money together by becoming resourceful, right? And so I did that, how to keep leads warm if they got a deposit, right? I did something called a text blast through the CRM to get an influx of follow-up deals coming in. If they ghosted me, I have something called a ghost SOP, meaning that, okay, cool, day 1, here's what I did, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8 plus. I had that in place to revive the dead leads back into my pipeline and close them from my pipeline. We call this pipeline closing. And so this is just one example. Tommy's one of our past students. Tommy does about 17K a month in commissions, selling to broke people. And so this day, he had 0 calls in the calendar, commissions made today, $1,865 in commissions. Now, how did he do that? Follow up, bonus. So he says, white space on your calendar is an insult to your family. Empty calendar equals money to be made. Well said. That's the post call. Now, upsells. If you have an upsell in your offer, if you're not leveraging the upsells, you're just losing so much money on the table. So when I was on my last offer, I was, depending on the month, I was making between 4 to 8K a month from upsells, not from follow-ups, not from one call closes, from upsells alone. And I think I could have done a better job looking back at it, but I had a process in place. Here's a mirror board, right? There's a decision tree for the upsell, right? So you can kind of see the difference. So before I was maybe making 5 upsells a month, then I got to 10 upsells a month, right? So there's that. When do you text them? When do you call them? What do you say? I have it mapped out. And then once I was on the phone with them, I had a script in place, what I was going to say, because they already bought something. So what am I going to say once I'm on the phone, right? So I had an upsell script in place. Also, I had a text blast going out about once or twice a month from the CRM to get more influx of upsell leads coming into my pipeline. And then also I had other processes in place, such as befriending the CSMs or the head coach inside of the program to get leads coming to my pipeline this way. So this lead is like, hey, how much is it to upgrade? They're basically asking to, hey, I want to upsell, but I got this from my CSM because I befriended them. And then also they saw me closing deals in the Slack channel. So they thought, hey, I'm going to send it to this guy so I can get 5% of that. Right. And then I got 10%. And then this is another example as well. One of our students, he had a 20.5K cash collected day, just doing boring stuff like upsells and follow-ups. So boring that I know a lot of people clicked off, but if you're still here, good for you, because you're just going to go implement it. Then also, I maximize my calendar maximization. So during no-shows, we talked about what do you usually do? Are you watching PlayStation, have your dick in your hand, or are you actually doing something and closing deals? So I have something called a no-show SOP. Once I got a no-show, how did I get leads to show up, as well as the order of operations I did. Okay, here's the number thing I do: 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's the order of operations I do whenever I get a no-show. It eliminates the decision fatigue of like, hey, what should I do during this time? It's like, okay, no, I don't have to think. I go here. And then also, I have something called Smart Views set up in place. Okay, so Close.io is a CRM that we use. Okay, we're just gonna blur these leads information out, obviously. But I had on the Smart View, it's called lead list, right? So I had these ready to go. So I have my follow-up short term and my follow-up long term. So if I click this and then I click on this and then I click on start calling, then what's going to do is it's going to start calling these leads automatically. And so what it will do is like, okay, cool. Instead of like manually clicking these leads one by one, I click this, it rings 4 times on this lead. If they don't answer, it automatically moves on to the next lead, so on and so forth. Makes it more efficient. You get more out of the input that you put in. So that was that. And different CRMs have that too. HubSpot has that. Go High Level has it. Different CRMs have it. Close.io is my absolute favorite though so far. All right. And then I had the outbound closing script as well. So here it is. I knew exactly what to say on the phone. If I'm outbounding with our students, we help them negotiate higher commissions on the outbound self-set and close. But you want to have that too. And then there's one of our students as well. Hey, 250 close rate to start the week. Now, how do you get a 250% close rate? So this student had 1 call show yesterday, closed 3 deals out of 1 call that showed. The next day, he had 3 calls show, and then he closed 6 deals. So he had 4 calls that showed and closed 9. How is that possible? Outbound closing. So he was able to close deals during his no-shows. That was a process he had in place. So are follow-ups only for shitty sales reps? I don't know. You tell me. So, and this student makes over 6 figures a year in commissions. So next part is we go through the skills, which may seem like an obvious one, but we go through here. So this is another advice that's going around for whatever reason. Some people say, hey, discovery doesn't matter, just objection handle. And I say, discovery doesn't matter. Does it really? I mean, if you didn't have to get objections, would you still get the objections? I don't know. I'd rather not, And that does not mean don't objectionally, don't practice objectionally. Absolutely work in objectionally. Absolutely. However, if you haven't conducted and ran a proper discovery, your objection handling reframes just don't land that well. You ever do like a reframe, like a killer reframe, fancy reframe, like it just doesn't land that well. The prospects are like, oh, maybe. They're kind of like a meh response. It's because you haven't uncovered enough pain point or desired and the emotional leverage in the discovery. So that's why the handling is not landing that well. It's almost like trying to just trying to objection handle out of thin air. You don't help them realize what their exact pain points are, the consequences, their desires, and because of that, it's just not going to land that well, right? So we'll go to objection handling too, but it's all of it, right? So it's not the linear like this versus that. No, all of it. So I'll show you the decision tree, the version 1, okay? In terms of discovery, now everybody has a sales script. So if everybody has a sales script, why are people still struggling with building urgency and still getting objections, right? Objections still happen, but were they getting more objections that they need to get? Because when was the last time a sales conversation went exactly how your script's written out? I can't remember. Because in a sales call, there's different scenarios that happen, right? Maybe they answer it this way, right? Maybe they say, oh, I'm not sure. Maybe say give you this answer. Maybe they give you like an irrelevant thing. What do you do in that case? And so I just mapped this out in a flow chart. Instead of having a script like, I don't know what to do. Okay, if they say this, I say that. This is the version 1 that I mapped out. I actually found this in the archives. This is the version that we have now. I'm sure we'll keep reiterating it. But this is the decision tree that we give to our students as well. So there we go. If they answer it this way, we go here. I basically sit down, lock myself in a room. I flush this out, bleeding out of my goddamn eyes. Okay, reviewing my own calls, reviewing other reps' calls. Like, what are the different scenarios that happened? What worked well? So basically bleeding out of my eyes, feeling this. And so that way you don't have to, right? So they say this, you say here. They say this, you say this. So I have them mapped out from the beginning of the sales call all the way to the end, which made my sales conversations more predictable and consistent, which as a byproduct gave me more confidence and conviction as well because, I know where to go now. So that's a decision tree. As well as different questions, we have something called a probing questions vault, right? And so I mapped out different ways of asking the same questions. Because what happens is sometimes you ask a question and the prospect may not understand, or maybe they misunderstand your question, they answer in a completely different way. And so I just mapped out, okay, I just mapped out literally on a document. Okay, so this question, what are 5 different ways I could ask the same question in different ways? All right, cool. There we go. And then I did that pretty much for most questions, especially the questions I was getting stuck on the most. For a lot of people in the problem section where they may not be able to go as deep into the prospect's pain. And so I mapped that out. Okay, what are the different probing questions I can ask? What are questions I can ask? What I call pain flashback, helping them relive their pain, which is really essential in helping building urgency. So I did the pre-work. And so the outcome of this, other students that are implementing this, dude, I just got a 7K PIF objection list, followed the flow chart to the T. This has been my best call yet. Later on, same day, he texts me, hey, 11.5K cash collected today, 26K cash collected this motherfucking week, already on pace for 100K cash collected months. And I asked him, hey, how does it compare to before on a week-by-week basis? He said, well, before in the 2 weeks, I only collected 5.5, so almost 10x my average cash collected week. So this student was actually, he was saying that, well, his confidence was actually getting killed. He's like, hey, it's been killing my confidence. I went through 3 or 5 different sales training programs. I'm getting more confused. It's so overly technical, like NLP stuff. And it's just like 60 plus people in a group call. Like I can't like get my nuanced feedback. And so he basically used his last money to get into our program. And then this is what happened, right? So good for him. This Tommy, right? Tommy says the scripts just works. I usually never, so he got this from a prospect, right? I never usually make big decisions like this without consulting my wife first. But for some reason, I just feel like I need to do this right now. Piff. And then it says preventing objections is better than overcoming them. Maybe. I don't know. The script works. Decision trees are helping heaps, by the way. So that's the discovery. And then we go into the sub-communication. What sub-communication is the nonverbals, meaning that your facial expression, tonality, and body language. So it's a term widely known in the dating world because when you talk to girls, an example, a lot of times they're not just looking at the words you're saying, but it's like the aura, the vibe you get. Now, in a more practical sense, is the how you say it, right? We all heard that a million times, but it really makes a bigger difference. And I noticed that, like the example I give you, where I knew all the script questions and I knew all that, but people were not opening up to me. Once I dialed in my sub-communication more, that's when prospects started opening up more. And so in the decision tree, I mapped out, okay, what tonality and sub-communication do I need to open up people? Okay, in the beginning, this is what I do. And all the way down, I mapped this all out, right? So because of that, people opened up more. And then like the vocal mentoring, going back to responsibility. So I work with these guys. And so the drill that I was doing was I was doing daily drills 5 to 15 minutes a day before calls, right? I did like a selfie video or like on Zoom by myself or in front of the mirror. I was over exaggerating my tonality and my facial expression, which by the way is probably the most effective way to improve it. You need to over exaggerate. If you think that you need to be at a 7 out of 10 in terms of conviction, you say 11 out of 10 in conviction. And so later on, you find your sweet spot. So I was doing that, which helped immensely. So I studied different pitch frameworks. I had a pitch framework for that. Right? I studied people like Alex Hermoge's $100 million offer. And so I learned the nuances of, okay, what makes people just make decisions, even though if it's risky, so on and so forth, making them a good offer. And then the result of that is one of our past students said, I rewrote my pitch after going to the training. One client asked, how soon can I pay to get going? Feeling good. There's a pitch. Objection handling, I mapped out into the decision tree as well. And then, so we have this. And also shout out to one of our past students, Alex Savine, to help mapping this out in a more practical manner. So, okay, cool. So you ever get a bunch of different objections? You're like, you're not sure what to say or you're not sure where to go. Because the problem I had was, okay, so in the discovery, we have at least a script. But in objection handling, there's not much of a script per se. There's some, but like, I don't know where to take it, right? So here's the order of operations. Okay, here's the money objection handled at first, then this objection, then this objection, right? So I had that. And then for different, okay, if they say this, I'm going to say this, like all the way. Okay, money objection, time objection, partner objection, okay, think about it objection, and then fear objections. I mapped that out, right? As well as the fear objection, okay, how do I go about this? Like, how do I get this towards a sale? I mapped it out as well. And the most common fear, okay, like I don't make rash decisions on the spot, so on and so fleshing that out. So there we go. And then the different reframes for different objections, different concerns, right? I've been burned before, had one for that. I don't make rash decisions, so on and so forth. So there we go. Objection handle. So this student said, hey, close that Usain Bolt analogy. The reframe, close me the deal, bro. So it's a Olympic runner one that we do. It's a bit of a different one, but we do that. And then this is a partner objection overcame. Sometimes it's just as simple as following the processes and staying calm. Thanks, Brian. So that's what the objection handling. That's the skill set part. Next, we go into an offer. So first, you got to be able to identify the good offers from the bad ones. So I had an ideal criteria for that. So, okay, so here's the good offers. Here's the bad offers. So we had that. My first sales job, then we go into the offer generation, right? My first sales job, I got it through referral, which is why referral is the best way. Now, if you're watching this, you're not looking for like your first sales job, you're in a sales job, probably looking for a better offer, right? So either way, referral is the best way to do that. Just because, just like how is the easiest sales to make from referrals, same thing, because they've said good things about you, right? So they're putting their name behind the person they already know. So the first sales job I got it through referral. I basically had like little to no experience with like sales, right? So, hey, we'd love to invite you to join XYZ company. And at that company, it wasn't the best offer. It wasn't the worst offer. First month I made $2K a month. Then I made next 2 months later than that, like about $8.4K a month of commissions. Then I started building my track record and started getting on better offers. So this is which is why in our training, in our program, we also, if we can stand behind that student, meaning that in terms of the skill set and or their work ethic, we connect them directly to the offer owners or sales managers or recruiters of those good offers as well. So there we go. Intro text. Hey, this is so-and-so, top closer out of 4 reps on his previous offer. So it's one of our students who went from 7K a month to 14K a month in commissions first start when we started working together. And now he's looking for a better offer. So he became a top closer out of the 4 reps. I connected him with the offer where on that offer, closers are making 12K to 20K a month in commissions. And then he booked the interview. Hey, thanks for sending it over. I'd love to find a time for us to connect. And then he booked the interview and he ended up getting that job. Another one too, student that I've trained. Hey, so-and-so, could you help students with an XYZ closing offer? He can outbound and hunt. And then this is what he got. So from the recruiter, he literally got, there's some missing here, but like 6 or 7 offers in a row. So this from the recruiter. Hey, I got an offer for you, OTE, 8K to 30K a month. Hey, please apply ASAP. And he was following up with the student. So the recruiter was chasing him down instead of him getting ghosted. So that's what we always say. Being a good sales guy is like being a hot girl. That's really what it is. Recruiters or sales managers hunt you down. You don't have to be the ones trying to keep getting after them, getting ghosted. At least less of that. And they say, hey, XYZ company wants to interview you, booking link. Hey, XYZ other company wants to interview you, booking link. So the student was getting overwhelmed. And so I checked in on him. I was like, hey, man, how's things going? Thanks for checking in, brother. I have a few on my table right now. One is full-time sales manager role. He got offered that too with 5% rev share, 20% comms, and 6K base. I might have to take. That's not a bad role, right? And he says, okay, now I know what you mean when you say being good at sales, like being a hot girl. Haha. So that's the referrals. After that, we go into the inbounds. So if you have people in your LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be, then here's the post that I put out after I left my one of my previous companies. I was looking to go into sales a bit part-time in the intermission. And so here's the post that I put out, right? So I put out this post. It's nothing fancy, no crazy copywriting, things like that. It's just basically going over, okay, here's my track record. Here's my results. And this is what I'm looking for. And then I got 47 comments. And then let's see if this opens. And then basically people saying like, hey, saying good things, right? Hey, people tagging their offers, things like that. Hey, you should check this guy out. Come sell on our offer. Check your DM. And then, I'm going to tag you on a post. Hey, man, I have an offer that you could use a savage, so on and so forth. So, again, I didn't have to do much convincing. It's not about convincing people. It's not what it's about. It's just that I just put this out. Here's my very straightforward. Here's my results. Here's my track record. That's simply it. So I did that, and I think I got a total of like 20 or 30 rules from DMs or comments. Here's some of the ones, okay? Hey, Brian, so you're looking for a closer position. I might be able to help if you briefly run me through your criteria, what you're looking for. Hey, man, I got a bunch of 20K plus offers. Hey, spoke with so-and-so. I put in a good word for you. Also another one. Hey, are you looking for a CRO opportunity, CRO sales manager? Guys doing 600K to 1 million a month, pays base plus 3% total rev, override, so on and so forth. And so this is what I mean. You're no longer being the one chasing. You are the one choosing. You see the difference. So when a lot of people say, hey, like, I want to get in a good offer, it's the offer, it's the offer. Yeah, maybe. But the question is, why are you not on a good offer in the first place? You ever ask yourself that? It's like, oh, I don't know where to find the good offers. I mean, yeah, maybe. That's one thing, But also at the same time, if you're really good, you shouldn't have a hard time getting on really good offers in the first place. You really shouldn't. And so this is what happens. Yeah, offers matters for sure. 100% offers matter. But do you want to be the guy just offer hopping from one hot offer to another, just like wasting like 3 weeks each time, getting ramped up, finding a new offer to the 3 times a year, losing out on like 9 weeks out of the like 2-3 months of your working months, making money, and then just keep offer hopping, or just be the guy that everybody seeks you out? Who'd you rather be? So there's that. And then the other part is outbound. We'll talk about outbound too, right? So how do you go hunt, right? So I think this is also like an effective one where you basically flesh out what are the offers where closers are making the money I want to make and it's a good culture fit. You map that out, you flesh that out. And what you do is you look their website up and then you message whoever's responsible for bringing sales reps on, and then you book an interview with them. And so I'm just going to pick a random example, okay? Shout out to Tony Robbins. All right, so we'll go here. So what you can do is whatever website you'll find, if you scroll down or up, or like wherever they put it, you'll find whether the career section or meet our team section, so on and so forth. So what you do is, let's say we go to careers, and then you click on that, and then you find a sales rep position. And so coaching sales representative, right? This one. Learn more, and then you apply, right? Some websites have meet the team. So what you do is you look up their name on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, and you message them. So application page, this is what I did, right? Hey, been following XYZ stuff. There's stuff I did earlier in the too that I cannot share. Would you or who be the appropriate person to chat with this about? Hey, what's up, Brian? Yeah, for sure. This guy to speak would be XYZ, our sales manager. And then I messaged that person, got on a call, right? So this is the outbound, very straightforward. But again, you get less ghosted. And then the response rate and the meeting booking rate with the offer owner or the sales manager goes up if you have these, the track record, what to show for. The less you have it, the less. It's not like they didn't see it. They may not have seen it, but they saw it. It's just that they didn't even read it or they didn't reply to it. That's typical what happens. So next thing is the interview. You want to have a good framework for like the intro loom that you're probably going to do. Anywhere between minute to 3 minutes max. I like to keep it short and sweet. So this is one of our students that he used it, and then he booked the interview and then got hired for the 12K to 20K a month role. Now, the interview Loom intro video is nothing too crazy. You just show your track record. But now you may think, what if I don't have that much track record? Let's go into that. So here's the hierarchy of what you can do. All right. So number one is a track record. That's the most important thing. Cash collected, revenue, where were you on the leaderboard, so on and so forth, right? All that kind of thing. And the second is the skills, right? How do you demonstrate skills? Well, number one, they can kind of tell by your intro video how you talk, right? Because I know this because I have some friends that are sales recruiters that are interviewing and placing reps all the time, as well. Sometimes I would place reps on higher reps. I look at the intro video, I can immediately tell without even looking at the sales code recording if this rep is good or not, just the way they talk. So you want to have good conviction, conversational. That's the biggest thing, right? And then demonstration of skill set, your sales call recording, and also in the mock call, you need to be able to crush it, blow them out of their socks. Last thing is character. If you don't have these, you at least got to show character, hunger, work ethic. That's why we started with this, all right? So you got to be able to show this, work ethic, obsession in the game, responsibility, strong reasons, so on and so forth. And then on the interview itself, obviously do your homework. Please go to their website, social media. It's just common sense isn't common practice. I've seen reps, not my students, obviously, but they'll hop on. They'll be like, oh, so like, what do you guys do? What offer do you guys? I'm like, dude, fucking look them up, right? So look them up. Zoom setup, obviously something clean, professional, normal. It doesn't have to be some crazy penthouse, obviously, but don't have some sketchy looking background. Don't have your bed in the background, ideally. Clean, audio's good, internet's good. Hop in the meeting room 5 to 10 minutes earlier. Common sense stuff, okay? And show them what they want to see. If they tell you to follow their scripts to get your foot in the door, at least follow that to the T. Now, the more track record you have, the more you can get away with not doing that. But if you don't have that yet, just show them what they want to see. Be sharp and concise. Don't ramble on. Don't be like, yeah, don't do that. You're done. You're DQ'd, right? Ask them questions, whether about the offer or referencing some of the things you saw on their social media. Hey, I saw that your guys' mission is this. I love that. and then you ask a follow-up question, so on and so forth, right? XYZ offer smashed out of the park. This for an offer where the OT is 15 to 30K per month. Big YouTube subs, big influencer. And then he got this message from another offer owner. Hey, XYZ is going with another opportunity, most likely. We liked him. If you know anyone else, feel free to send them our way. And then this is another one of our students. So I'm actually going to bring this here because that's objection handling. All right. So now let's go into objection handling. Not objection handling prospects, objection handling sales manager, recruiters, and offer owners. So they may give you objections as well. So just like a prospect would, such as you lack experience, we'll let you know. I'll talk to our business partner. I'll talk to our COO and let you know. They may tell you that. And so what do you typically do? Do you just hop off the interview right away? How many of those times you actually hear back from them? A lot of times not. So just like you overcome a prospect, you don't take no for an answer. You don't take offer owner's objections no for an answer. You sit there and handle it. And so we give this framework to one of our students. I can't obviously give out all the sauce, but basically he got some objections like, hey, listen, you're lacking some more experience. You're lacking some high ticket experience. And so we gave him like an objection. Hey, say these word for word. He said that. And then he heard back from the sales manager. Haha, yeah, we'll jump on the call together, bro. Speak to you later today. And then he got a verbal yes from that offer. Okay. Another example. So this student hopped on an interview with an offer, and then they give an objection. It's like, hey, we'll email you and talk to each other. And then the students, I told them, no, don't take no for an answer. Objection handle these guys. And they set up a 3-way group chat and then revisit this at 5. And then he got the offer where the closers are making 10K, 20K a month in commission. So do not take no for an answer. Next, ramp up. When you're on the new offer, you want to ramp up as quickly as possible. Prospect knowledge beats product knowledge. So what is product knowledge? Is like, hey, we got this many coaching calls. We did this with the coaches. You get this many hours in the course material, yada, yada, yada. Good to know. What's more important is prospect knowledge, meaning that what are the pain points that the prospects have? What are the desires? What are the common concerns? What's their industry lingo? You learn that, you'll be able to ramp up more quicker. And also what helps you ramp up quicker is doing outbound, because you're not a princess closer. So as you do outbound, because if you just rely on the inbound calls, there's only a limited amount of conversations you can have per day, right? Maybe 3 calls show up per day. And also it's quite a bit of pressure on you because unless you believe in your skill set so much, it's like, it's like new offer. So when you go outbound dial in the meantime, maybe even before they set up your calendar, or in between your no-shows, then you get a better sense of like, oh, this is the lingo that these people use. This is what they want. This is the problem these people have. You get a better hang of that. Ramp up quicker, more commissions quicker. All right. Environment. So first we're going to systematizing your life, because everyone talks about like the sales, like the objection stuff like that, but also your life needs to be dialed in too, that allows you and have the bandwidth for you to scale to the 10, 20K, 30K monthly commissions. So the problem I was finding was that after lunch, I was like ready to take a fucking nap, right? So the calls after that, they didn't go that well. I just being irritated. So what did I do is I had an SOP for reducing post-lunch crash. What that basically is after you eat lunch, you feel sluggish, your performance goes down the drain. I had an SOP for that. I sought out performance coaches that help pretty much like quite a bit of big entrepreneurs and salespeople in the space. I paid them money. I learned stuff. Also, I got a meal prep company that gave me meals on my usual working days, Monday to Friday. I paid them $450 per month. And so I did not have to think, what am I going to eat today? I don't have to waste time and decision fatigue of cooking, cleaning, all that. No. How much time? Have you calculated how much time does it take you per week? If you talk to prospects during the time, how many deals could you be closing? This is one deal closed, one extra deal closed, and it makes up for it, right? You could probably do more. So there's that. Whatever meal prep service that you have in your local city, your area, I'll do that. Or if you do not have the funds for it, if you're really tight, then at least what I did was when money was really tight for me, on a Sunday on my off day or something, I would just meal prep on my own, like chicken breast, broccoli, like put in a Tupperware, you're ready to go. That's what I did. That way for the entire week, I don't have to think about what I'm going to eat. I don't have to worry about it. I just heat it up in the microwave, all good to go. Next is I systematize my sleep. And so biggest thing, if your energy is not where it needs to be, then you're not going to be able to perform at your highest, right? Obviously, be able to perform highs even when your energy is not the best, even when you're feeling tired. But it's just best if you just, wake up time is good, but what's more important is sleep time. Have the same sleep time. And for a lot of people, just going to bed earlier, that's just the answer. Like I come to this boring principle over and over again. Whenever I'm like, oh, I'm tired, I'm hating my life. Oh, like, am I going to sleep at the same time? I'm going to bed earlier? No, I'm going to bed at like 2 a.m. or like this time or that time. Okay, let me fix that. When I do that, most of my problems go away because I have like a mental bandwidth to actually think and like talk to this prospect and perform at the highest. So sleep alarm, very helpful at the same time. And then I had a sleep SOP going over basically, okay, cool. So what do I need to do? Here's the checklist I need to do to, even from the same hours of sleeping, get more energy out of it. Also, another thing is I settled down in a home base because I was traveling quite a bit from one city to another. That's not bad. Sometimes we got to get that out of our system. We all have our own seasons in life that we do that. But I've done that. I've traveled to Europe. I've traveled from like Asia, so on and so forth. Okay, so I got to Dubai, and then I got this apartment. I pay for the 12 months rent up front, and then I established a home base, which now gave me more stability. So I don't have to think like, oh, like I have to find another Airbnb. Where's the cafe? Where's the restaurant? Where's the Wi-Fi? No. So I got that out of my headspace. Next thing is location is very important. What city, what country and city are you based in? Where do you live? This really, Hormozy said this one thing, which is I'm going to butcher it, but paraphrasing here, the amount of wealth you're going to generate is dictated by the zip code you're born in or you're in right now. And that sounds fucked up because, I mean, it's not my fault that I'm in this city. It's not my fault that I'm here. It may not be, but you're not a tree, so you can change it, right? So what I did was once I started making some money, I moved to Dubai. Like I said, I paid for the 12 months rent up front. That apartment was 5.7K USD a month because it was one of the most prestigious buildings in the city, in the country. And pretty much I was like probably like the brokest person in the room or brokest person in the building probably, right? But that was good. And also I did this. I went to Dubai for one day. This is like a video from a long time ago. I just like posted for the fuck of it. But this was 10 months ago. I posted, but this was filmed way before that. So I spent this much money to test drive Dubai. Hey, I want to see what the city's like. And so what I realized was when I was there, I felt so broken and secure in the best way possible. Because when I was there, I was, okay, this is this apartment, right? This apartment, the rooftop was this. And when you look at that, you're like, oh, I mean, the photo doesn't do it justice. But when you look at that, you're like, it just pumps you up. You're like, it makes you want to conquer the motherfucking world. Because like, oh, these city lights, there's like shit happening, there's action. And then this is the rooftop now where there's the pool and there's the man-made island looking over it. And this is the world's tallest infinite pool, I believe. When you look at that, it's like, man, it's just makes you so hungry. In this building, I'm pretty sure I was the brokest dude in that building. That's good because in the lobby, I would see like 5 Rolls Royce, 2 Ferraris, Lamborghinis parked there like all the time. And so, and people have these like AP watch and like 50 grand worth of jewelry on each arm, and people doing like big shit. You're like, man, I can't just stay comfortable at 5K, 10K a month. Whenever people say like, I'm doing good, like how much you're making in commissions? Like, oh, 7K a month, 8K a month in commissions, or 12K a month in commissions. What do you mean good? How can you be content with that? I mean, but you know, because it's their goal is their goal, right? But you know, someone asked me in an Instagram live the other day, hey, Brian, I'm stuck at 10K a month. I want to get to 30K a month. What should I do? I'm comfortable. Well, that's the fucking issue. So you got to expand your horizon. You got to put yourself in a position where you are forced. Environment is the key. There's only so much willpower that we have. It's limited. There's only so much willpower. Like, I need to be hungry. I need to be hungry. Dude, your brain's going to be fried by the end of the day. But if you're in an environment, you don't have to use willpower that much because you're already there. I was speaking at a mastermind full of business owners. This is called the Palm Jumeirah in Dubai. And so people like Iman Ghazi, his house is somewhere over there. Samuel Luna, I think Jake Paul had a villa somewhere over there, so on and so forth. And so I was invited to speak there. It was just so funny because when I was trying to make money online, I remember flying from the Dubai airport to Poland at the time on a layover. And I saw this basically from the sky. Let me see if I can find it in Google Images. So this is what it looks like from the sky. From like the side of my economy class airplane window. Nothing wrong with economy class, but you know, standards increased, right? We'll talk about that too. But I looked at this, I'm like, man, like I wanna go there one day. And it's just funny how things come full circle. It's like now speaking on that island, right? And so it made me so hungry. It's like, man, like I really want one of those mansions. I want one of those villas. This is one of the most well-known gyms. I went here, everyone's like jacked out of their mind, like dudes, and there's girls that had bigger deltoids than me, right? And there are girls that had amazing physique, right? And when I looked at that, I was like, man, fuck, I feel skinny as hell. That's a good thing because now I want to work out better, right? I want to get in better shape. And so with some of our students, we have them do an ideal lifestyle exercise, basically calculating how much would your ideal lifestyle cost and reverse engineering that. And so Alex is one of our students who went from 3K a month on average to 15K months, and he got his Mercedes car, right? And so this is exactly the car I have rented in September when you told me about the ideal lifestyle design exercise. So it helped a lot. So he actually rented this for a day to see what it's like. Just like how I went to Dubai for a day to see what it's like. So you're designing your ideal lifestyle. If you just go through just trying to close deals and trying to like role play every day, nothing's going to happen. And then as a side note, environment, people. If we're just role playing with the same people, doesn't matter if you're doing 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week of random role plays with random people. You're in a bubble. So how are you supposed to get better? That's probably why you haven't gotten better, right? And again, it's not your fault because people say you just got to role play as much as possible. False, needs to be targeted. Michael Jordan said this. I'm going to paraphrase. You can put up 1,000 jump shots a day, but if you're practicing with the wrong form, you're only getting better at being worse. And so be careful what kind of reps you're putting in. Be careful what kind of jump shots you're putting in each day. So people, okay? So this is a dinner that I hosted on the rooftop of my building. So there's June. What's up, June? So the brokest person in this dinner, I think, was making maybe like 20K, 30K a month. And then I believe the top person was making 500K a month. So when you are in that environment, and first of all, you no longer put those things on a pedestal because like you're talking to another human who's just like you. They're not that much different than you, right? But also because of that, it just the silly things, like the silly problems you think are problems, no longer becomes problems. It just makes you think so much bigger than just like 5K, 10K a month. What the fuck is that? You know, and the stories they tell you and the things they tell you is like makes you broaden your horizon so much. So it just moving to an expensive city, it just has changed my life so fucking much, right? And so if you can, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be Dubai. I'd actually highly advise against Dubai because the time zone is not good. But if you're in America, for example, maybe you try out Miami, maybe you try out New York City. Maybe you like LA and different places like that. So you go there. And so now you're in an environment where you're just getting after, you're just thinking bigger, you're acting bigger, you're being bigger, right? If you're in Australia, maybe Sydney, maybe if it's like whatever, maybe, right? And whatever in your local city. So there's the environments, right? There's the people, as well as, I mean, from time to time, actually doing normal human stuff. I see a lot of reps getting too tense on sales calls, and that makes prospects shut down. Because they're just being like sales robots and they're just being too robotic on the sales calls because they're not having regular human conversations. They're trapped in their four walls and all they're doing on Zoom, their friends are on Zoom, and then all they do is like talk on Zoom, right? I mean, dude, I've done that. Number one, it makes you, at one point, you feel pretty miserable. And another part is you lose the sense of how to talk to regular human beings with no agenda. And so what I'd encourage you to do is what I started doing is I started going on dates at least once or twice a week, right? Once I got my commissions to a certain point. And so in the beginning, I would say lock in, king, right? Focus on yourself, king. And so being a period of emergent, as you get more deals coming in, don't get comfortable. Don't slack off and maybe start going like a date or two each week, right? Or as you go about your day, something advice I gave to one of our students is as you go about your day, you just talk to random people as you go about. You don't have to, like maybe if you're line at Starbucks, you say, hey, I love the shoes. Where'd you get it? You start a random conversation. What do you do? Do you like it? Almost like a biz op conversation, right? And showing genuine curiosity, that collapses time of you getting better sales also. That's what I did. And so when you do that, you're practicing your tonality on regular people now. You get better having conversations. Your life becomes more enjoyable. So this is that. And as a man also, it's good to be around a female presence once or twice a week. It's going to sound very woo at this point, but so there's masculine energy and there's feminine energy, right? So masculine energy is like penetrative, is like, oh, go, 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 go. That is good. However, if you have too much of that, now prospects can shut down because they're like, oh, that's like too much, right? So what the feminine energy does is like it's more nurturing, right? So sometimes girls will send you gifts and your presents, or like they'll like cook for you and stuff like that, which is great. And so because that, don't get too comfortable by it. But when you have that like a good, healthy balance, now you can help prospects open up more as well. And your life becomes more enjoyable. As well, Who in your life, which people in your life are holding you accountable? Which people are taking a look at your life and saying, dude, this makes no fucking sense. You're fucking up. I'll give you an example. I was on a group feedback session with our students the other day. One student said, yeah, I'm just having a hard time sleeping. He says, I feel tired all the time. So we were breaking down, chunking down. We were looking at his calendar and seeing what was going on in his life. He's like, he's like, okay, how many hours of sleep do you get each day? And he said, about 4. I'm like, dude, you're spending this much on work, this much on school, this much on this. It's not adding up. What's going on here? He's like, actually, I'm spending about a lot of time playing video games and watching YouTube. Okay, how many hours a day? And then he said 6 hours a day. I was like, 6? Bro, no wonder you're not getting much sleep done. You're spending that much. What's going on? What's preventing you from actually cutting that out? So I was basically selling him, right? Or having him sell himself why he needs to stop it. Like, because of this and this. Okay, cool. Willpower only gets you so far of you quitting video games, right? Okay, cool. Delete that from your fucking computer, block it. YouTube, block it after a certain time. Download this app on your phone. By the way, Opal is good. Download Opal on your phone. Disable it from this time to this time. After this, sleep alarm. So after that, it's less willpower and more systems. And so because of that, it makes it easier, right? So it took days, hours, weeks, months, years, just flushing this out, these processes and systems. If you just want our help of implementing this for your offer and your life, then you can go to the first link in the description box below. You should be able to find a time to chat with someone on our team or myself to see if Real Sales System is something that could work for you. This is only applicable for high-ticket closers, meaning that you are a closer, not a setter. You sell coaching programs or leads or something similar. And if that is you, you're not a princess closer. You're committed to do what it takes to get the 10K, 20K a month in commissions. Plus, go to the first link in the description box below. I'll see you there.